G'day punters, welcome to Victims of the Punt. We're looking at the Randwick meeting coming up this Saturday. We've got the Inglis Millennium. We also have the Eskimo Prince, the Group 3. And it's a pleasure to welcome, as always, Mark Shean and Mark Rhoden to preview this meeting. Mark Shean, I'll start with yourself. Just looking at the card, looks like there's a few more competitive races coming into this Saturday.
Absolutely, yes, it does look a good meeting. We've got some interesting two-year-old races. Inglis Millennium, Long Road Plate, the first, and the Eskimo Prince certainly looks a very intriguing race as well. And some of the support races look a bit better than usual also.
All right, Mark Rhoden, we've got back to the rail true at Randwick. We're expecting any sort of pattern at this stage?
Well, it won't be like last week at Rose Hill. If it is, that might just about do me, I think. But it won't be a hot rail. We can guarantee that. In fact, the last 6 meetings at Randwick on a true rail, so there's been a grand total of 60 races, and only 4 leaders have won out of those 60 races, which has got to be the lowest strike rate of leaders for any given set of circumstances in Australian racing, because leaders, in most cases, are the ones you want to be on, but not in the Randwick True. So most should get their chance tomorrow.
Okay. All right, let's start with race 6, which is the Inglis Millennium, the 2-year-old race over 1100. And in terms of the market, we've got pretty much joint favourites at the moment with Sajardin and Paris Dior around that $4.20 mark. Baldino's been supported since the market's opened. It was around that double figure quote, now $5.50. El Padrino's $9. Everything else is into double figures, starting with the Zambezi River. So, Mark Shean, I'll start with yourself. Any luck here with the 2-year-olds?
Well, look, it's a very open race. You could probably back 6 in it and even miss the winner. But, look, Paris Dior won well at Canterbury. She didn't run any figures, but I'm backing her on type. She's a beautiful filly. No luck on debut, and then absolutely just owned that race at Canterbury, showed speed and ran away without a lot of pressure. And as I said, she's a beautiful filly, and I think she may track up 2 or 3 wide here, which I think will be the place to be on the day. And as I said, despite those bad figures at Canterbury, or slowish time anyway, I think you can overlook that and just believe your eye. So Jordan, he's trialled okay, nothing flash, but he's probably been left a little bit in the tank going towards the slipper. Baldino, I thought, did trial quite well. He was hitting the line quite strongly in that trial. So I'm 14 from 6 at this stage, just depending on the pattern of the day, but I think that'll suit Paris Dior just off the rail.
Okay. Mark Rhoden, any thoughts?
I see it in a similar way. Paris Dior did run quite a slow time that night, but she did run the best last 200 on the whole card, which is a good sign. Entitled to, because the pace was so slow, but at least that is a good sign that you can mark her up a bit despite running a slow time. Rob, I think, would echo what Mark says about her as a type. He was very, very taken with her when he saw her, and we know the stable's got a huge opinion of her as well. I think she's the one to beat, and happy to be with her. Missed the price here, Baldino. $10 they bet. I'm not sure for how long, but that was wrong. It should have won the spring version of this race, the Inglis Nursery, late last year. Very unlucky on that occasion. Has trialled well. I think it is the danger. I still think at $5.50 it's probably still worth saving on. And I had Sajardin next best. I think it's a definite chance. I like the way it rounded them up in its second win in November at Rose Hill, sort of a bit against the pattern that day too. But I just, on price, I think he's probably the least value of the 3. So it looks like I'm going back to Paris Dior and save on Baldino.
Okay, so that's a 2-year-old race. The first leg of the quad is race 7, which is benchmark 78 over 1300. Joviality's favourite. It's been around $4 into $3.20. Then you've got Steel Diamond, best availables, $5.50. Incredulous Dream is $5. Van Giz is $8, and you're looking at Lady Banth around that $9 mark. Saigon is $12. Mark Shean, any thoughts here to start the quaddie?
I'm not sure why this is a leg of the quaddie, this race, but anyway, look, Joviality does seem to have the best form here. She had a bad preparation, or 2 bad preparations, but she did bounce back with a very good second to Rule of Law. They came right away from the opposition. I can't see a lot of pace in this race, so I can see her just lobbing in the 1-1 here. She's 2 out of 2 at 1,300 metres. She handles cut out of the track, so not a lot of downside for me. And Steel Diamond, the stablemate, looks a danger, so 7 from 10. I think it's a race you can bet in.
Okay. Mark Rhoden?
I have joviality on top also. I just want a slightly better price. I mean, the rule of law form does look the best in the race. I agree with that. I just couldn't quite get it as short as 320 because I thought Incredulous's dream run at the Gold Coast on Magic Millions Day was very good. 3 wide most of the way and fought on pretty well to the last 50 to 100 metres or so, and I thought she was a bit of a danger. Then I was out to the likes of Steel Diamond and Lady Banff, but I did make it pretty clearly 7 from 2, joviality from Incredulous Dream, but I'm a bit too close to the market to make it a betting race for me at this point.
They did go pretty slow on that race at the coast, though, didn't they, Mark?
They did.
Like the sectionals I did, they were all running around 33.8 for the first 3, and they went 34.8 in that. So
yeah, that's a fair point, but
yeah.
I do think she's got a chance in this with a better run.
Yeah.
Okay, race 8 is the Eskimo Prince, the Group 3, over 1,200 metres, and just had a look. Paleli's been scratched from the Caulfield race as expected, so it is going around here. It is $2.40 as your favourite. Converge is $4.20. You've got Ranch Hand at $6.50. Then out to Halal and Captivant around that $14 to $15 mark. We've had a few scratchings of 7, 9, 13 and 14 all out. Mark Shean, I'll start with you.
Well, for a group race for sprint horses for 3-year-olds, there's just no speed in this race. It's a dead set head scratcher. Look, the race in New South Wales map's got Morris as my dad in front, and I'm seriously doubting it'd lead myself. I think Tim Clark will probably have the foot down early from barrier number 1 on Converge. Ranch Hand probably won't be too far away if he jumps. But it looks a muddling pace. Look, I think the yard is so important for this race. Paleli has sweated up in the past and performed poorly, and he looked like he was a mess in that trial that he ran in at Randwick. So I think he's a massive watch. He did win first up last time in, and he looked great in the yard. So I think it depends on how he looks in the yard. And Converge is a little fellow, but he's normally quite dumpy for his first couple of runs. So he's another one who will be very important how he parades. For that reason, I'm going for Ranch Hand because I think he has been set for this race. I think his first up form is very good. And if he's ever going to win a race with some black type this time in, I think it'll be first up or fresh. So I think from a good draw, McDonald on, just at the value, I'm going his way. But I can see that the others have probably got better form, but just worried about them first up.
Yeah, some excellent points there. We'll be waiting for the yard mail late there from Rob Scurry. Mark Rhoden, are you thinking of betting early, or are you going to be waiting until you get a view into the yard?
I'll definitely be waiting. I was leaning towards waiting anyway, and listening to Mark's remarks just now has certainly firmed up that opinion. Look, I've got Palali on top on form. Interesting what Mark said. So would you say, Mark, that was the best he looked for the prep that you saw him first up last time?
First up last time, and he looked a totally different horse. The Silver Slipper was the day. Look, he started short, but he was dead set, dripping sweat. And then when he won first up last time, and he looked beautiful. So he was like a different horse. Yeah,
and that was on figures clearly the best run of his career. That win first up last time. So yeah, it's going to be obviously very important how he parades. Look. If I was going to bet early, it would be Converge. I mean, he didn't come up in the spring, but he had good form as a 2-year-old prior to that, and I've really liked his trials, to be honest, and I thought he looks set to go well if he's forward enough. But again, I think Paul A is a bit short at 230 odd, and Converge is slightly better value at 420, but he's not screaming back me at 420 either. But if I had to bet, that's the way I'd lean at this point. Then I was out to Ranch Hand. Yeah, I again take Mark's point. It could well be his target race. They booked McDonald. This very, very much could be a setup for him. And Captivant next best, but whether he'll be ready first up at 1,200 remains to be seen. Yeah, a bit tricky for me to bet early at this stage. If I was forced to, it would be Converge, but very much going to wait and see.
Okay, plenty of good points there to take into consideration. Race 9 is a benchmark 78 over 1,200. With Silent Impact favourite at 270. You've got Maltai at 5. Rustic Steel at 10, Lancaster Bombers $12, as is Liberty Sun, and then El Buena's 15. Mark Shean, anything that you like here in race 9?
I've come up with Maltai here. I thought, look, originally I thought he was a bit of a risk at 1,200 metres, but his first trial on the Gold Coast this time, and he settled beautifully. And the other day they put the blinkers on him and he just went around half pace. I normally am against those free runners that win those trials around Rhodes Hill, but the fact that he'd settled so well in that previous trial suggested to me that he might have come back a bit more relaxed this time in. He was doing a few things wrong last preparation, and he's got great form around the top horses, Palele in the Congo. So I think in this sort of race, if he can roll forward here and get the lead, I think it'd be hard to beat. Look, Silent Impact was a decent win the other day. Probably was too short for him, but he was just a class horse of the field. But, yeah, he might be looking for a little bit further now. I'm not sure I could come at 270. So I'm with Mautai here. Liberty Sun's had absolutely no luck his last three, so I might save on him.
Okay. Mark Rhoden, where'd you land?
I went the same way. Mautai, I was just like the fact they put the blinkers on first up to him. That's usually a signal that they're having a dip, fresh. And yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with his form in better class 3-year-old races last time in. I think he's the one to beat. And I also think Silent Impact's too short. He got the job done well enough last time. He was, I would say, a bit lucky to win that. Spellcatcher looked pretty unlucky in that race. Got run off the track by another horse. I certainly think he's a chance against Silent Impact, but 270 is just too short for me. But look, if it's number 7, So Am I, drawn a barrier, I might even be looking to save on it, but we'll just have to wait and see how the track's playing. If they are sort of sailing down the middle, I think the price could be too big, but I couldn't get it in anywhere on the map, so it looks like it will have a tough run, but trials suggest it's going well. And the ultra honest Lancaster Bomber really does struggle to win, but always a chance and a definite place chance in this grade. But yeah, quite like Mautai at around $5.
Okay. And we finish off with a open handicap over 1,600 metres there in race 10 with 3 to Crack's favourite at 360 from Lakeen at 5. You've got Mighty Bill at 650, Purple Sector and Frosty Rocks at $7.50 a piece with No Compromise $8.50, and everything else is over 20 to 1. Mark Shean, anything for yourself in the last?
Yeah, look, I'd have to be on Through the Cracks again here, going to a mile. Look, he's going to get a long way back, but I think the track will play to Swoopers on Saturday. Gets a bit of cut out of the track. Only had one run at the mile at Randwick and absolutely flew home from near last in the Villiers with a big field. So good run the other day over 1,400 metres. And as I said, you'd think that the 1,600 metres could only suit. Lakeen, well, he beat Canasta and King's Air the other day. They both look like they're going over the cliff at the gap, so they don't want to hit the line. I'm not sure if that form's going to hold up, but I suppose the weight suit him. Mighty Bill is a query here for me. Very soft trial recently. Might need more ground, but that quick freshen up from Chris Waller, that normally seems to reap rewards when he brings these stayers back. So I've got 8 from 6 and probably better round Lakeen.
Okay, Mark Rhoden, your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be with Mighty Beale. I think he's a very talented horse, and he went out for his little let-up at the absolute top of his game. A very good win in the Christmas Cup over 2,400. 1,600 does look like the lower end of his range, to be honest. He won his maiden at 1,550 coming from the speed around Canterbury, which was a pretty good effort. And I just think the mile might suit him with the freshen up. And as I say, I think he's a very talented horse. So he'll do me. Lakeen, yeah, so let's see, $5 and shorter. Yeah, I don't think he's a bet at that price, to be honest. He does, look, he's got a nice weight drop. There's no doubt about that. We sort of had a bit of a question mark over his competitive desire, but he did get the job done last time. Whether that's because he's a changed horse or whether he decided to do that because I was on Canasta, I can't quite say, but he's certainly up in class this time. And despite the weight drop, I think $5 is a touch short. Beyond that, Through the Cracks definitely has to be next best. A very good run when unsuited last time. I certainly think it can win. And then I'm out to the likes of Frosty Rocks and Purple Sector, who was a bit disappointing last time, to be honest. But I just think, yeah, I think they might have targeted a little fresh, targeted this race for Mighty Bill while they're still fresh over a mile, and I certainly think he's good enough to win.
Okay. All right, that brings us to the end. I'll get your best players or best bets on the card. Mark Shean, I'll start with yourself.
Look, I think it's a pretty tricky day, but I thought you'd have to just monitor the track. Race number 4, Kalos, I thought would be suited in this race. He has drawn barrier number 1, but there's a stack of speed, so the field should string out. So he should be able to navigate a course away from the fence if the rail is off. I just thought he got into a nice race here with a very fast pace up front with Sky Command and Malkovich going lickety-split, and he should just settle 3rd or 4th in the run, and is hopefully fit enough to run well. So I thought race 4, number 3, Kalos, the best, but it does look a pretty tricky day to me.
Okay, that's $3.90 best available for Kalos to be ridden by Hugh Bowman. Mark Rhoden, your best.
Yeah, I'm with Mark on Kalos too. I like it, but my probably my absolute best for the day is in race 3, the Midway. It's a bit of a worry, but it's a horse in this that I think can win better races than Midways. In number 12, number 9, French Emperor. Yes, I think he's probably destined for better races than this, and I would say almost every other horse in the race is not. So I'll be with him. Race 3, number 9, French Emperor. All
right, $3.50 best available with Chad Schofield on board. Right, guys, thank you very much for joining me, and we'll look forward to next week. Obviously, I think the first Group 1 is only 2 weeks away. It might be 3 weeks away, but we're almost there. But we're getting into the thick of things here in Sydney. So until then, guys, go well.